New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And hello again, dear ones. Rev BRZ with you over here.
Rev BRZ right here.
And this is New Thought Today on the New Thought Media Network. This happens every Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. Rev BRZ and I get together. We look at some of the founding principles of the New Thought movement and the New Thought philosophy. We look at some of the contemporary applications of the movement and the philosophy, and we take your questions and we'll respond to your comments. So if you're out there and you're watching, feel free to drop a comment in the comment box. If you're catching a replay, feel free to do it as well, because we will follow up with you when we see that comment come through. So thank you so much for being with us. What do you think, Z? Denver's coming in on a record number of days without snow.
Yeah. I you know, we and in line with where we're going to try to go today, some people are grateful and some people are maybe not.
Exactly. Some people are grateful, some people aren't. Folks, if you're not from the Denver, Colorado area, Rev BRZ and I live mere miles away from each other, and a lot of people are okay if the snow stays in the mountains, and the mountains are getting snow. The mountains, from what I understand, are doing okay. It's just not making it to the city, and it's been a long time since there's been any accumulated snow out at the airport, and it doesn't even take much to accumulate for it to be considered a snowstorm. So what it means is we still got some sounds like global warming to me. Sounds like climate change to me, when Colorado has a record number of days between snowstorms. It's kind of crazy. However, what we are here to talk about is the gratitude principle and the gratitude practice in many ways within the New Thought philosophy. Now, Z and I were talking in our preparations for today's show that you've got family stuff next Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
And I've got family stuff next Tuesday. So rather than try to bring you something put together for Thanksgiving next week, we're just going to take the week off. We're probably going to rerun this show. So, a little bit of time travel happening. If you're watching this next Tuesday, it's really last Tuesday. I'm pretty sure you folks can figure that one out. But we decided we wanted to talk about the practice of gratitude. And the thing I think I found the most interesting is it's definitely more of a contemporary practice in the New Thought philosophy. Didn't find an awful lot of, quote, gratitude teachings in the earlier foundational aspects and writings of gratitude. But Z, dive in. Tell the folks a little bit about what we did find.
Yeah, we looked at, when we look at the gratitude principle of basically, which is sometimes tough, I think, for people to get, because gratitude speaks to that whole idea of everything we experience, we give thanks for it, or we give gratitude for it, and not judge it, right? Because there's the whole idea of giving gratitude to the things that do not that we don't like, that may cause us angst. And so we understand, though, as we begin to grow in our spiritual consciousness and awareness, that everything helps us in one way or another, whether it's immediately or in the future, right? Or sometimes even in the past, it helped us to understand something that has happened that we weren't able to get our head around. So this gratitude principle, this idea of giving thanks and showing accolades, if you is one word that they use for it, of everything that we have and saying yes to it so that it can expand our horizons.
Yes, exactly. Neil Donald Walsh said it this way, folks: remain grateful for every outcome. Every outcome. Gratitude is the connecting energy to God. And we could substitute any word we want in there for God, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this sense that living from a perpetual state of gratitude. And perhaps that's why we don't, like, it's tough to, I don't have a gratitude practice right now. Now, you think about gratitude journals and people do certain things to remind themselves so specifically in that area. But for me, it's a place where I don't need to practice being grateful for all the stuff that's around me. I just kind of am that. I just feel that gratitude all the time. So maybe that's why our elders don't speak about it so much.
Right. Well, and I think, if we look at our traditional approach to prayer, the whole Thanksgiving piece in the 5 steps of treatment kind of fits in that gratitude space. It wasn't called that, but gratitude and thankfulness or Thanksgiving, hence we're coming up on the Thanksgiving holiday, which is why we're talking about this, is this ability to be thankful for what we have. And in the case I was trying to make in the beginning, in some cases for the things that we don't have. And I'll give you a prime example. I've been involved in trying to close out a project, a deal I was trying to work with that should have only taken 45 to 60 days, right? 1 to 2 months, and it wound up going 5 months. And I'm trying to be patient, and towards the end, it wasn't that patient. I was pissed. And so eventually, okay, I said, we're done with that. So I started the process again. Right. And now this process is moving a lot faster. I even got better deal than the first deal. So whereas in the beginning, I was judging and pissed and whatever at the other relationship that I thought I had and was trying to deal with, right, I am now grateful that took the path that it did, because now I got a better deal.
Right. Here, hindsight being 2020, right? We practice. So that's a great point. There is the advanced practice, and there's the responsive and the reactive practices, I guess, of gratitude, of feeling that place. Because I've been in that same thing where it's like, oh man, I am so grateful that didn't actually happen. I'm so grateful that person said no, because I opened up my mouth and made an offer that was, maybe stupid, or maybe just like, I'm really grateful. No, thank you.
There's that affirmation, if you will, and we use it, and it's taught in our treatment, in our prayer practice, that gratitude sets things into motion. And so we in our prayer, we have the recognition and the unification, and then the actual thing that we're looking for. But then after that, we go into that release part, and that release part is part of that Thanksgiving. It's being grateful and giving Thanksgiving for everything. And then we just release and let it go.
It again is that atmosphere, that attitude of gratitude that is all pervasive. And for those that have a healthy prayer practice, a strong spiritual prayer practice, we are training ourselves to live in that attitude, that space of gratitude each and every day.
Right. And as you were saying that, it's brought to mind, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners have heard that story about the farmer who was, out in the countryside, and they came to look for. First, his son fell off the roof and broke his leg, I think, and then people said, "Oh, that's so bad." He said, "Maybe good, maybe bad." And then the next day, the army comes through to take people to war, and they couldn't do it. they couldn't take him because his arm was broke. And then, you know, the horse ran away. And they said, oh, man, that's so bad your horse ran away. He said, well, maybe good, maybe bad. A couple of days later, he comes back with 7 or 8 horses following him. And now he's, you know, so that whole story right there kind of really epitomizes this approach to inclusive gratitude, I will call it, a holistic gratitude. Where, as we said earlier, that we don't put judgments on things, right? I mean, the good book, pretty much all of the good books say, judge not, lest ye be judged, in some kind of way. And that's not to say people get away with things that they're not supposed to. I look at it as saying, hey, we never know the full 100% impetus that caused the thing. And when we look at it, we're looking at it from a limited vision. And if we stay more open and be in an attitude of gratitude, it allows us to bring in aspects that we may not see if we're narrow-minded.
True. Well, it can be a tricky thing to be grateful in the midst of it. I'm so grateful my teenagers are doing what they're doing today, or, you know, whatever it might be, my spouse, this guy driving in front of me, right? And I want to agree with Z here. So many times in my life, I've been able to reflect back and find that, wow, I could never have imagined how that experience would play a part in something greater.
Right.
And there's anecdotal stories all over the place of somebody, you know, getting slowed down and then not being in an accident.
Right.
And that all those things happen, right? We want to come from, I believe, however, the perspective that we're not looking for the, oh my gosh, it saved my life synchronicities. We're looking for the, oh wow, this is propelling me forward synchronicity. And so everything that's, especially the stuff that might be yucky, that might be pushing our buttons, to try to get to that place of, okay, what might I be grateful for in this?
Yes. And part of it is too, I think, you know, when we're able to, I think one of the things that seeds the gratitude is when we're able to, understand that the presence of God is in everything. Yeah. And that if we have this understanding that God is always working for our highest and best, even when something looks unbest, make up a word, we once we have that consciousness, we understand that there's something there. I mean, a classic thing is, okay, I stick my hand in fire and I get burned. Well, I can look at that 2 different ways, right? I can be pissed, or I can look at it from a gratitude point, say, I really understand what it means now to say fire burns, number one. And number 2, I'm grateful that body has been created. So when I stick my hand in there, I feel it and I get it right back out. And so again, you begin to make this holistic view, this holistic understanding of life, and not just the, you know, the sweet part, right? I mean, if to get the honey, you got to get the honey out the beehive, and you might get stung. The honey ain't just coming to you.
Right. The honey ain't just coming to you. Exactly. Oh, and you know, and we're grateful for the bucket of ice that's sitting there for me to put my hand in. If I'm a little stupid, if I leave my hand, if I'm a little too ego-ish, I leave my hand in there. Well, I got a bucket to put it in. So it's, for me, this is part of the layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of support that I feel for my life and for my work and for who I get to be and how I get to show up in the world, is a deep, deep sense that I am not only incredibly grateful for everything that got me here, but as we keep tending towards, more and more grateful for what's pulling me and the opportunities, the doorways, the things that are opening up in front of me that are saying, hey, you want to come play here? You want to come be a part of this? You want to, where are those doors are opening?
and you know, if we take that idea of the door there, that leads me into this whole thing about what are the obstacles to keep us from going through that door of gratitude. You know, it's a work in progress. Maybe I just need to knock on the door to see what kind of response I get back. But
you're right.
I think if we try to enumerate some obstacles, in my mind I can come up with 3 right off the top that does that. And this is something that Wayne Dyer talked about in one of his book Manifesting Destiny. You know, he says the first thing is kind of like judgment, but it's fault finding. No matter what happens to me, even if I stick my hand in the fire and get burning out, I'm looking for somebody to put some fault on. Well, no, it's your fault, Robert, because you ain't stopped me. That's why I got burned. You supposed to stop me. You
put an extra log on that fire.
Yeah, you made it burn higher.
You put too many logs on that fire. Yeah.
So again, you know, that speaks to this whole idea of when you said an attitude of gratitude. That's a mindset. That's a way of looking at the world. That's a way of observing. And I know I do it. I'm glad my wife's not here. She won't hear this. I have my favorite coffee cup, and I say it can't go in the dishwasher. And I said, so don't put it. And then when I can't find it, I immediately start saying, I bet you put it in that doggone dishwasher. And of course, it's not true. I didn't put the doggone thing somewhere and forgot where I put it. But
that's why I have 4 favorite coffee mugs. They all look the same, but you know.
and then at that moment that I start looking to cast fault,
right,
my whole energy towards her begins to change.
Right.
And for no other reason that some cockamamie idea I put in my head that is not based anywhere in reality.
Right. And then we double down when we figure out that, wait, she didn't do it, I did it. Then we double down on ourselves, go, well, now I'm supposed to feel guilty and beat myself up a little bit because of my judgments.
Yes. and then gratitude kicks back in and says, hey, it's okay. We had just had that, but it gives you, from my personal perspective, it gives me an understanding to say, okay, I'm not always right or whatever, or I need to be more balance in how I'm, doing whatever. But then it also gives me that opportunity, whether I say it out loud or not, to be thankful for my wife that she didn't put it in the microwave. And this dumb old me put it in the cabinet behind another cup.
I thought we were talking about the dishwasher. Wait a minute.
Oh yeah. I told you to put it in the cabinet.
I was going to tell you, clean your coffee mug once in a while, will you?
And so, right in line with that fault finding, I think what the second point that Dyer brings up is the proverbial complaining.
Yeah,
it's too cold. We ain't got no snow. We gonna break the record or not? Just not saying that in a way of curiosity or in a way of making a statement, but when we're complaining about it,
right?
Another story.
Yep. There is something between, wow, look at what's going on, this is unusual, and oh my God, it's never going to snow. Isn't somebody going to do something about, like, oh my God, that all that complaining generally starts with, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
So, and often ends with, isn't somebody going to do something about this?
And I heard something like you said that was key to made me think they're starting some project in some special mountain areas here where they're beginning to seed the clouds, which requires a special altitude and clouds, way beyond my atmospheric knowledge.
Right.
But they're going to do this to release, and they're setting it on a timer or a computer that will, when it detects the conditions are right, it will seed the clouds so that we get snow. That's real talk.
That's Okay, so we're leaving the realm of climate change and stepping boldly into the world of climate manipulation.
It's getting
Pretty close.
Yeah. But what they're looking at, though, in my mind, in terms from a gratitude perspective, in the little short article, they were saying, because if we don't get snow, we're going to have water, and now we're going to get fire. And they just had a fire up in SD Spark that just kicked off today. So they're trying to find this balance and be grateful that they understand the science enough to make it happen.
Right. Yeah, very, very interesting. We're flying way off course today, folks, and that's okay. That's part of what New Thought Today is truly all about, because what you're sparking for me is a reminder that it's been a handful of years now. Remember watching a piece on people that were studying tornadoes in the Midwest, and they were using these micro little plastic balls that all had a microchip transmitter in them, and they were able to trace and learn exactly the rotation, the speed, the swirl, the distance, everything from these little plastic balls. And they were doing that then as a way to understand all of this. A natural extrapolation is, okay, how do we use this technology, this knowledge, this now what we know, to make sure we have enough water?
Right.
That's going to be a big key in 50 years.
Yeah.
And perhaps less.
Perhaps less. And we may take it for granted right now, but those people in the future who utilize that to get water that is scarce, and we know it's scarce. We look at all these big lake reservoirs that are down 6 feet in some cases. There will be some gratitude being displayed that science is understood and is able to bring water.
Yeah.
And that leads to the last thing that he brings up, is taking things for granted. We don't need to do any of that. It's gonna rain. The rain ain't going nowhere. The water ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. I do like this, because again, we've got to be able to look at life from the perspective of gratitude for the future, and recognize that everything that's happening must be happening for that future. So we talked about the MLK statement the other day on our other show. Or am I living from a perspective of altruistic vision, or from a place of a selfishness of holding on to what was, or even just recreating what used to be in a new way? And we've got to be on that side of, I might not understand any of this, but I'm going to be in an attitude of gratitude that somebody is figuring out how to make sure our snowpack is healthy for the planet. I'm not so worried about the ski industry. They'll be fine. But that there is enough snow and enough water to keep, and if it takes a little bit of manipulation, well, hey, we've done it before.
Yeah. And you know, that whole idea of gratitude, we here in Colorado, from that perspective, the water, snow, because the Colorado River provides so much water to so many people from here all the way over to California, right? And so that's a lot of people covering a lot of land. And so how are we grateful? So there's a point that says, okay, I'm grateful that we're experiencing this water shortage now, because that's going to spawn some pretty clever scientists that are here and out of age to understand it, to begin figuring out, how do we fix it? How do we, reverse it, or whatever the case might be, to ensure that we have water, life going forward? Because we are 70% water, by the way, at least, plus some people say.
And we are, it would appear we are not yet close to the technology to abandon this rock and head somewhere else. No. So I did hear something about Elon Musk going to Mars, but we'll explore that another day.
Yep. So those are three things I think that are stumbling blocks, right? That we have to really pay attention to when we begin to create this attitude of gratitude, because as we said at the outset, Gratitude is a causation button, of lever. So it sets things into motion.
Right.
And so if we're allowing ourselves to block that energy flow, that causation, by being off a fault finding or complaining or taking things for granted, eventually find ourselves in a hole where I've experienced it, where gratitude now shifts into thankfulness because somebody done pulled me out of the muck and the mire, and that I've allowed my attitude to get me in.
Right. Exactly. We're everything around here, folks. New Thought Media Network's based on creating that environment. However it is you want to create that environment. Listen to what we're doing, watch what we're doing, engage with what we're doing, attend the things that we're attending, read the things that we're reading, whatever that might be. This whole network is designed around the idea of giving you opportunities to create an environment where you can be reminded of your gratitude, and where you can find resources and connections when you're having a little bit of trouble staying in the gratitude.
Yes.
Right. And that's something we want to make sure we hit on here today, Z, right? Is it can sometimes be a little difficult to break ourselves out of a less than grateful experience or perspective of an experience, especially the closer it hits to home or the more there is an emotional impact upon us. The tougher it becomes to say, I didn't find anything in there to be grateful for.
Yeah. And, and it's so good. You just made me think about, especially when we get the opportunity to teach and model this to our kids, right? I called my oldest daughter the other day, and I was complaining about this project I was working on that was going south. And of course, she took the sarcastic approach. Oh, no, not you. You're not getting salty, are you? A great reminder. I was mad at her at that point, but then I had to be grateful.
Don't you say that to me. Who do you think you're talking to?
But then the gratefulness kicked in because she kicked me out of something that I was just going to keep talking about and perpetuate, and begin to create an environment that made it potentially worse. She kicked me out of it, and it made me think about, let me try this option. And I tried that option, and now we're off and running.
Right. Yeah. That's the powerful point too, right? And because that experience not only wakes you up a little more, reminds you a little more, but it creates that bond where both of you are able to see, okay, we are in this together, right? There doesn't need to be it isn't really even a father-daughter relationship any longer, right? It's oneness.
Yeah.
And your little piece of the oneness was blinking a little, your blinker light was going a little dim.
Yeah.
Right. As she threw a little power your way to light your blinker up so you can be seen. So you are who you are, can continue forward. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. And that is, all of this is leading up to next Thursday, right? In our minds, where we have Thanksgiving. Yeah. And we know that is a very controversial holiday right now. So we're not even going to go into that piece of it.
But, and wait. Since when has Thanksgiving not been controversial? In-laws, Black Friday, dietary restrictions. There's always been a conflict on it.
And to be quite frankly, Black Friday is probably the best, most positive in some respects of the Black term, because it's not being used negative. It's being used to say, hey, we got some great sales and opportunities, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Although it still has this commercialism, and we can go there on another program. But sure. When we look at Thanksgiving, right, that whole idea, no matter how it got concocted, or whatever, was this attitude of, as the history goes, right, that
Right.
the pilgrims and the indigenous families on this continent, when they got here, had gone through a rough patch, and they were sitting down. They commingled their stuff, their food, and everything, and they were thankful to have the meal, to be able to work together, to be able to form a oneness. At least that's the way the story goes. Now, I'm going to stop. I ain't trying to go down the history, but if we just take that in that light, we have more to be thankful and grateful for now, given these past 2 years, than, in my mind, a very long time.
Yes.
Collectively,
And I guess if you get to spend time with family this year, and you're being safe about it and all the things, and then there is something there to be grateful for. No question about it. There may still be things that you do not condone or you do not believe in. We're not saying that you have to lower your standards or your values to experience gratitude that someone else has the freedom and the ability to express theirs. Right. It's what I know is families have many dynamics, and this is the beginning of the family season, where a lot of families get to bump into each other. Maybe you haven't seen your in-laws, or maybe even your own blood relatives for many years, for a couple years now. Maybe you haven't been in the company of certain people in and around your family in time. I know that our family trip this year is very unique in how we have multiple dwellings and how those dwellings are going to interact. And there are people that I've never met. And I believe that the place is for us to come for that sense of gratitude that we're all still here.
Yep.
Regardless of what beliefs we might hold about anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because you think about it, just looking at one event, right? Just looking at COVID, there's been about 765,000 individuals who've made their transition. Globally, it's 5 million plus, and
it's a lot of empty.
They'll be at the table in memory.
Right. I was going to say, that's a lot of empty seats.
A lot of empty seats
at the table this year.
Yeah.
So if your table's full, we're grateful for everyone that's with us.
Yeah.
And we might be grateful for that which has come before, and of course, expressing our gratitude for those that have left us in the last couple of years. And it's interesting, as we're here, so we'll talk about it. Here in Colorado, we're seeing an increase in COVID cases again.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a real crunch in bed space in our hospitals. And we're at a point that it's again another really unique point that keeps I believe should be, or is, I hope, reminding all of us that we've got to look at this from a perspective greater than just what's best for me.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying, I'm not going to tolerate if you're putting me or mine in danger, but I am going to absolutely consider what is the best for the collective here, for the one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we want to put this into a little bit of biology terms, as soon as I go down that road of selfishness and leave the road of gratitude, I become the cancer cell.
Right.
When it's all about just make sure of me, I'm okay. That's what is a cancerous cell in the body.
Yeah.
And in the body of the divine, I think we're all being called to something greater than that.
And again, we look at nature, right? which if we look at the definition of the word nature, it takes us back to the Genesis. I think the original meaning meant birth or and connectedness out of the Latin, right? Mm-hmm. But when we think about it and you look at nature itself in a self-contained environment, which we talked about,
yeah,
in that environment, everything in the environment understands that at some point it will take or find itself in a very uncompromising position and have to surrender itself to the group.
Mm.
And you made me think about it when you were talking about cancer and stuff. I mean, within the body right now, a healthy body, there are certain cells that are saying, I will give myself up so the new version of myself, if you will, can be present.
Right.
And I give thanks for the wholeness of what I had and look out for, and not just think about myself and become cancerous, but I will continue to allow the upward spiral of life. And I'm grateful that I could contribute to that.
Yep. And that is the healing.
Yes.
And that turns the course, that turns the energetic vibration of that cancerous belief towards a renewal, towards a rebirth, if you will, and a healing that brings us back into alignment with the divine, into alignment with the one.
Right. And I think when that kind of intertwined relationship begins to happen, we begin, I think, then to move into that space where gratitude goes beyond words, something that you kind of spoke to in the beginning. We begin to live a life of gratitude. Because we understand that because of the paradoxical nature of life and how it gets played, we can't find the words always to explain it, to convey what I'm feeling, to express my feelings and that's why, we feel. I think one of the most places people feel gratitude is through music, song, and through poetry and good literature, because it comes in a package that allows you to be open. And you, once that happens, as you start getting hit at so many sensory points, trying to explain how I'm taking something in from 5 sensories is going to be difficult to explain with one.
Right. Yes. I also believe that music and the arts take us out of the human ego piece a whole lot quicker and a whole lot easier. It's a whole lot easier to be in the message, in the vibration, in the environment without that little bit of, well, yeah, but you should be trying to make more money right now, or, well, if you did this, you could do that with it, and get rid of that ego piece. It's so much easier to transcend that through good music, through great art, through sometimes even bad art, I guess.
Yeah. Because it speaks to an expression, I believe, that it opens the doorway to a more collaborative, holistic feeling or observation or understanding of something that cannot be described using one of the senses.
Right.
Sight, touch, taste, whatever it is, and that's why now we see these movie theaters going into these, they're starting to go now into 4D, right? Where they're putting smells in the room and things like that, because from what I understand, they're trying to awaken the whole presence of you and me to a situation. Right. That begins to cultivate these different environmental attitudes or environmental thought processes that make us better, I believe.
Absolutely. And I just guess Disney's been doing that forever.
Mm-hmm.
I forget when I first experienced that in Disney, but right, the seats would puff out a little smoke or a little water. And you would. It's an all immersive environment, and that's what we're talking about.
Right.
All immersive environment. So it does matter what music you're listening to, and it does matter what video games you're playing, and it does matter if the news is on in the background 24/7, and it does matter what talk show hosts are playing in the background. And again, that's part of what what we're all about, right? Is let's create a new environment. Let's create new vibrations to support us in bringing forward a greater experience and a greater vision of our lives.
Yeah. The old adage, change your thinking, change your life, change your mind, change your life.
Right.
That's what we're talking about. And this whole concept of gratitude is a foundation for being able to switch that gear, so that you begin to look at life not as a victim, not as something happenstance, not as something to find fault with or complain about or judge, but you look at it as it is and understand that as a wholeness of one, we are one entity. And we are one at, using each individual human, I would like to say, and I believe, is like one cell in the body of the universe, whereas one cell, my skin cell is only one cell on my body.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we can begin to look at life in that kind of context, then we can have a different expression and a different Thanksgiving, if you will, about why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And folks, I don't think we would be complete today without the opportunity, the call to remember that, yes, this is the season and this is the time to really be in practice of all of this, right? The grateful for what's gotten us here, grateful for the relationships, and grateful for the weirdness sometimes, and grateful for the awakenings, and grateful for the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And truly grateful that I have no clue what's going to happen in a week or 6 weeks or a month. I have ideas. I know we all have plans and goals, but to be open and grateful for what's for the mystery of it all. And then we get, I believe, then it's a call of faith to live from that place of, okay, I am grateful that I have no clue how this is going to go, but I know it's going to go.
Yeah. And that's that whole, we walk by faith, not by sight.
Yeah.
Because once you tap into that causation setting motion of gratitude, it puts you in that flow, and you begin to be in this synchronistic dance with the universe, and your movement within that is effortless.
Right. We don't talk about Bob Proctor all that much around here, and yet one of his personal practices, and he's been teaching this forever, is to start your journaling, just to start your envisioning, if you will, with "I am so grateful and happy now that."
Mm-hmm.
Right, to use gratitude as that force, that causative force that propels the universe, the creative process, into motion.
Mm-hmm.
We've said this so many times, right? You can't just sit around and wait for somebody to drop a gold brick in your hand. You can't pray yourself into abundance. But I guarantee you, if you are expressing and experiencing gratitude for what you already have, then more shall be given unto you.
Yeah. And again, prayer, just like we're speaking here about gratitude being a call, setting cause in motion. Prayer is exactly that same kind of thing. So, to show the gratitude and to have the prayer is only, as I said earlier, seed in the clouds. At some point, there has to be some commingling of the iodine in the cloud and the water, meaning something is taking place for that rain to happen.
Right.
So we create an environment, we create an atmosphere, we create a a mindset that says, I prayed for something, I've given thanks for something, and now I will continue to move forward and do my work.
And just wander down the street thinking, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Right? I'm not attached to it. I'm not like, I need 3 inches an hour for the next 45 hours. I need an 8% density moisture rate to that snow and da-da-da. And, no, you just let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. I'm reminded of a great story from Native American traditions. A white reporter went to New Mexico and had an audience with an elder chief from the area. The area had been in a drought for quite a long time. And the next day, I think it was, there was going to be a big ceremony. But the day before, this reporter got the chief to take him out into the desert. And the chief danced. And the reporter asked him, were you praying for rain? And the chief said, no, we don't pray to get anything. I pray rain. I dance the vibration of rain, is what he was saying. Those weren't his words, but that's what I'm saying. He was dancing the vibration that created an environment, that created an attraction point in the universe that said, hey, I'm that one cell and I'm vibrating in alignment with rain. And right here where this one cell is, we're going to raid, right? We're here to raid. And yes, as the story concludes, later that afternoon, it starts to rain. The next day, their ceremony is basically rained out. And they prayed rain.
Yeah.
We are doing what we profess and what we practice and what I've watched you do so many times, Z and myself, is we pray the desire emotion. We pray the desire value. We pray. I don't pray for my family to be healthy. I pray family. I pray health. I pray light. I pray love.
Right.
Did I just say eat, pray, love? No, I didn't. Did I?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like it.
That sounds like a good phrase. It might work, right?
Yeah, because we really are in a place in time right now where we have to begin, I think, to figure out how to utilize our tools better, figure out how to understand the tools better. Yeah. And I think, religious science Ernest Holmes set up a program, a way of life, if you will, an approach to life that makes this so palatable when he said, take these ideas, these concepts, these steps and practices, and put them into motion in your own life. Right. Don't just take our word for it. Start putting them into practice. Keep a journal so that you can go back and see, when I pray rain, it rains. When I pray for rain, well, we might get the rain, but it may be down south. Because there is a connection to the universe in the oneness. And so when we can do that, when we can begin to live that way and act that way, we get a whole new perspective. And as a prime example, when I get a project that should have taken 30 to 60 days that wound up going 5 months, to let it go and try something else. Okay, and so now we're on a whole nother path.
Pray a little peace, right? That sounds like a good song title too. Pray a little peace.
Yes.
Z, I love these conversations, folks. If you're new to this program, New Thought Today, it happens every Tuesday here on the New Thought Media Network. Z and I get together. We look at sometimes the contemporary issues and applications of the New Thought philosophy. Sometimes we look at the history. Sometimes it's a little bit of both. I have a challenge for you this week. As you come into if you're in North America or US, I guess, and you're celebrating Thanksgiving next week, please, we invite you to be in a practice of gratitude with us. Z and I are going to take off next week and take care of some family stuff enjoy our families, I should say it that way. Enjoy our families and enjoy what we've created in those realms next week. So this may be a rerun next Tuesday, and we may just not be here next Tuesday. You're going to have to tune in and find out. However, if you are watching on a replay, thank you for being with us, no matter when you watched it, this week or next. So, Z, we've been talking about all the sense of gratitude. My call to action for people is to be in that, and most especially sometime during this holiday weekend, if you're celebrating it, to get away from yourself and get away from your family and get alone with yourself and really consider and be in a creative space of being grateful for what's next.
Yeah.
Whether you have an idea of what that is or not, do some stream of consciousness journaling, do some reflective meditations or prayer work or whatever it might be. We got tons of stuff on the network to watch. Mm-hmm. But let's be grateful for what we don't know yet, and what we're stepping into, if you will, in 2022.
Yeah. And I would just tack on to that. If you get an opportunity to do that somewhere in nature, where you can get a little quietness there, it doesn't have to be by yourself, but where you can get to a place to where you can be reflective, observant and reflective. And you notice, wherever you are, if you're in the woods walking or the mountains, what the weather feels like, what animals are scurrying, what the trees look like, what do you feel, really try to take in the wholeness of that thing so that we can really have some heartfelt thanks and gratitude and appreciation to go with all of the, trimmings on the table that we take, and then take that forward into the this long holiday season. Right now, we're starting, Thanksgiving, and you have Christmas and Kwanzaa and Hanukkah, and you got all these, and the ones I don't know, and the ones that I'm just forgetting right now.
Yep.
But all of these holidays that are coming right now are about connection, oneness, creating an environment, as we say, in a world that works for everyone.
The season of light is upon us.
Yes.
Or soon to be. We got to be grateful for it first. Yeah. So, I love it. All right, folks, we're going to slide on out of here for the day and say thank you. Before we do, however, we do want to say thank you with a little bit of fun. So let me find that clip. Here it is. We'll be back in 35 seconds.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferland Foundation for your generous technology grant. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
And get your name on that list and on the next version of that movie just by heading over to the website ntmedia.org. Click on the donate, make it a monthly contribution. We'll add you to our not only movie but our eternal gratitude as well. Like how I did that one there, Z?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay.
Now, as they say, that was smooth.
That was smooth. All right, folks, we're going to slide on out of here. Hey, do remember, if you want to get involved and you have any ideas, if you know of someone you'd like to see us interview on this program, or you have a topic you would like us to cover, please send it over to ministertalk@ntmedia.org. We'll take a look at that and get right back to you. So, all right, Z, final thoughts for the day.
Hey, let's just everyone take some time alone, take some time with friends, and take some time with family, and show them and yourself how grateful we are and how we want to continue to create this family of manhood and womanhood of humanity that allows us to continue this wonderful holodeck experience called life.
Absolutely. Until next time, folks. Peace.
Peace.